So for all Yankee fans like me, it's a rough day.
Very
Juan
upset.
Soto leaving us. For all any of you Met fans, congratulations to you.
Mets, right?
Oh, he went to the Mets?
He did.
Yeah.
Juan Soto left.
So he stayed in
left
New
the
York at
Yankees.
least. What?
And honestly, you know what, I can't blame him or his agent, but $765 million to play baseball is just.
But I can't believe the Yankees couldn't come up with that little bit more.
Well, I think that he was using the Yankees to get as much out of the Mets as he could. So at some point, I think someone
It was gonna
probably
happen
said,
regardless.
either I'm not playing the back and forth game, either you accept or not. But $765 million, with the chance of it going to $805 million
Wow.
to play baseball.
Because I'm sure he's going to ask for an increase somewhere in there.
And it's not. It's like the third most popular sport in the country. It's not even the most popular sport. $800 million. Over $50 million a year he's getting.
That's vulgar. That's vulgar. is what it is.
It's crazy. He's the second major leaguer to be over $700 million contract.
Who's the other one?
Shohei Ohtani. See, he makes a bit more sense to me because he's got appeal all over the place, and he pitches and hits. So he's like two players in one.
Right.
You know, but these other guys are like, oh, look at this guy smiling today, Met fan.
It's expensive. It's a lot of money. We'll see. Sorry, Yankee fan. I've been feeling
Georgia
that.
this morning.
I don't know if you follow the
What a way
Mets,
to wake
but
up.
people tend to get
I-
hurt.
I've noticed.
They tend to get hurt when they come to our team. So we'll see. What's up, man? How you doing? Oh, so everybody looks like in real life.
Yeah.
What's up, Louis?
Hey,
Rob, go get you some juice.
Yes. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Society's priorities. Somebody wins a Nobel Prize.
Well, you know, everything's on the
Finds
internet.
a cure for some awful disease.
It's good.
And what does he get?
Just the fact that
Yes,
they're a Nobel
please
Prize
sign
winner.
it.
That's good. That's amazing.
I love it.
Ball,
Only you, Lex. Only you.
That's crazy though. I mean, the amount of money is just crazy. Oh. Okay, everyone, we're good to get started. Everyone's good with getting started? Yes? All right, 9:09, getting started with our meeting. If we could just do a quick go around. I know we do have another member that's joining us from the team here today, so we'll go around so that at least way you know everyone that is here. Mike D'Antona, Superintendent for District 25.
Gus has Petrie, Director of State and Federal Education Policy, Central Bureau.
Rachel Bofadano, President of District 25 President's Council.
Patricia Daly, Cardozo High School co-president, co-president, with High School President Council, first vice president.
Pleasure and
For having
welcome.
me today.
Pleasure and
It's a
welcome.
pleasure.
Jenny Chang, the Family Support Coordinator of District 25.
Eduardo Duarte, Family Support Coordinator, Queens North High School, Step 2 Superintendent.
Eden Rubenstein, CEC President.
Rob Marino, Principal of PS 120 and CSA Representative.
Marissa Mari, District 25 Community Coordinator.
And my name is Louis Lotito. I'm also a member of the District 25 team.
Hi, Louis.
So we do have some members here that are as observers today that are not typically part of what the overall DLT is, but they're here just to support the district and answer any questions that
We're usually on
might
Zoom.
come up. We're usually on Zoom and they join us
So
there.
it's easy to join on Zoom, but now you can see us.
So we do have our minutes that are out and available to you. They're also online in our drive. So if everyone could just take a few moments just to read through the minutes so we can come to consensus on approval.
Oh, and then,
Louis, are you recording the meeting? Is there a camera in?
So Dr. Mike is recording his screen, so at least we can get his report. But it's not going to be. I am recording some sound. But,
Drop it in.
I know you usually record us.
Yeah.
I hear from some of my colleagues citywide, they listen to District 25's meetings
Oh, Lord.
because they consider it a model.
Oh, I love that.
That's awesome.
I just hope I sound good when they're, this
yeah.
voice sometimes, not everyone connects with this raspiness.
So they remind me that it's recorded, because I forget.
Yes, this is, my screen is currently being recorded so that we can post it later on.
Yeah, just.
Okay, can we come to consensus on the minutes? Good, Eden, yes, Rob, good? Yeah, okay. Minutes have been approved. Okay, going through today's agenda. One, welcome Patricia to our DLT meeting. Happy to have you here. Will you be joining us on the routine ones during the year, or will you be switching back and forth? Yes? Okay, perfect. Welcome, and we're excited that you're here to join us today and moving forward. It's hard to believe we are in mid-December, approaching mid-December. I don't know what's happening, how quickly everything seems to be moving.
Yep.
But we are here nonetheless. Today I'm going to go through a few things just for my report, just some updates and reminders. I'm going to go over some brief pieces of data. And then I want to bring you guys into iPlan so you can see what it is that we have been working on in terms of overarching progress monitoring for the district. I want to make sure that you guys have your eyes on it. You can see where it is that we posted our information for our mid-year review. And then we'll kind of go from there. Talk about any of our next steps, including the timeline that Gus will go over. And we have to review our parent engagement policy to then extend into for the next 2 years, which will go to 2026. Yes, Gus? Is that what it is? To 2026. So having said that, we're going to go right into it. CEC Town Hall was held November 18th. Excuse me. Big shout out and thanks to our CEC for organizing with FACE our session with Chancellor Melissa Villas-Ramos. It was a nicely attended event. We had over 100 parents or so participants and such. At 185, big thanks to Mike Leung, Principal Leung, for organizing as well at his school. He did an amazing job of making sure that every member that came into the building was welcomed and felt supported as a principal. I mean, there were booths set up, stickers handed out, everything that you can
Literally
imagine.
everything.
Refreshments.
Books.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Yeah, refreshments available. He just did a really, really nice job hosting the event, and I believe our community was able to ask some really, really good questions to our chancellor. So thank you, big thanks to our CEC and Mike for doing that for us.
Mike, can you go on screen?
Oh yeah. We also had our Thanks for Giving walk and book giveaway in November. We had Mr. Met join us. We had a number of our local elected officials were able to join. Bricks for Kids, New York City Kids Rise, our own team member, which we refer to as DJ Austin. I'm not sure if that's his regular name, but he does do that on the side. And he was gracious enough to bring his equipment to support the event. All with the goal of, one, promoting reading across the district, but also giving back. Important for our kids to know the importance of being grateful for the things that we have and how we can support others in need. So as part of this, families came with canned goods and other non-perishable items to donate to a local food pantry. So it served as a combination of purposes. Big thanks to Diana Stein, Marissa from our team, Anna, Blair, and the rest of our team members for organizing this event for our community. And one of the results of this too was we were able to give away things. We were able to give away bicycle helmets to 13 children, a bicycle, clothing, sneakers, all for our kids in our community. It was really, really nice event. And what I appreciated most about this is that families didn't leave. After they picked up their books, they were in the community, they were in the schoolyard, they were playing, enjoying one another. And it turned out to be a really, really nice event. Looking forward to more of these as the year goes on.
And Esther's last event.
Oh, and yes, that was Esther's last hurrah with us. Big thanks and shout out to Esther, who is now at the central office team. We will certainly miss her for sure. We had 4 students earn acceptance into the All-State Festival for the arts, each of them from 194. There were only 80 students accepted out of 125 nominations for mixed chorus, and 4 of them were from JHS 194. These students are advanced musicians who are kind, team players, responsible, and willing to practice at home. They are Lillian Hamilton, Olivia Kim, Kyra Sin, and Danielle Stremmel. So big congrats to each of them for their hard work and clear talents as musicians. So big shout outs to them. Happy holidays. As I mentioned earlier, can't believe we're in mid-December, but we're here. Hopes of all things positive during the season for all of our community members and certainly our DLT members, that you're able to spend some high quality time with those that we love and those that we appreciate around us. So big wishes for all of you in our community. This is just the general reminder so that no one shows up on Monday, December the 23rd. There was a calendar change that was made. So just making sure that everyone has it on their calendar that the 23rd has been shifted in large part to Isaac, middle school student who sent out notice to all of the community to get signatures. And he had, I think it was up 23,000 signatures that resulted in this change. So big shout out to him for doing that. Our monthly newsletter, this is important for everyone here, just in the event that you're not a subscriber. We do have our newsletter that is shared on a monthly basis, includes all the things that are happening in the district. We get celebrations from our schools, updates, highlights, and things that we want folks to know about us. So if you're not a subscriber, we encourage folks to subscribe. And as you see people in your community, encourage them to do it. We would love to have as many people as possible on our monthly page, and you can see it on our D25 site, d25.nyc/news. Parent survey. This I'm going to talk to you guys about in a little bit. We've asked for information from our families as part of one of our priority areas. This school year, we've received upwards of 650 responses. The last I checked, I know we sent out another blast on Friday requesting that our families do respond to this survey to give us more context as to what's going on in our schools so that we can make some strategic decisions, certainly at the school level, but more importantly, what do we see here at the district level and a DLT that we can provide some recommendations for schools that may be struggling with some feedback that we're getting from our families, and also highlight the areas that our schools are saying are really important strengths from our buildings. Our parents always typically have positive things to say about our schools in general, which sometimes it makes it a little bit difficult to pinpoint certain areas. But we did this year because of what we noticed in our data. And this is to kind of do two things. One, allow us to progress monitor, but also to see other things that might be coming up from our parent community. So more on that. Special ed parent workshop. This is for everyone to know, share with others. We had a special education parent workshop. This is an outgrowth of conversation from our CEC. CEC, over the years, added that part of their bylaws is that at least one special education meeting is held at the beginning of the year from the perspective of the CEC. So we do that from the district level. We have someone come in, and then we do our own series for parents. They are all recorded. They're up there. Nathan is great at explaining processes. So if you have parents that do need just some knowledge about special education, he goes through all of the things that are in an IEP. Next session is about all the different classifications. It's important for our families because I can tell you as a parent of going through this process years ago, you don't always know what to ask, and this is something that is available. Translation English, Spanish, Chinese is accessible there, so we encourage everyone to hop on. Same for our L training series for any of our families that are specifically Mandarin speaking. We have our literacy training session that was done completely in Mandarin. One of the things that excited me so much about this particular session is the volume of questions that came from our parents. Typically in our sessions, when they have just breakout rooms, we get some questions, but not nearly what we received on this day. Mostly because the person that was delivering it was speaking to them in Mandarin. It wasn't go to your translator, it was the person that was hosting spoke to them and delivered in Chinese. So it was really very helpful. These sessions are also recorded for any of our Mandarin speaking families. It's really, really important that we get the message out that it's accessible to them. We also did this in Spanish as well. Our two largest subgroups that we have in terms of language needs. Upcoming events, these are here. You guys should know about them if you're not aware of them. These are all on our events page at d25.nyc. We have additional math training sessions coming up, special education. Acadians, the mid-year, this is important for any of our elementary schools to echo this to our families that they are participating in this. The assessment does change. So we encourage all of our elementary school families to participate in this so that there's awareness around how their children are performing. And we will do another iReady session just as a mid-year check for any of our families as well. Just quickly going through this, enrollment dates, high school admissions, this part is already passed. Friday, October 18th, the SHSAT registration had closed. Monday, December 9th. This was extended, so today they extended the deadline for high school applications to today. This includes LaGuardia. Offers will be released on March 6th. Middle school applications, Tuesday, October 15th, it opened. The deadline to register has already since passed for Mark Twain District 21 talent tests. But Friday the 20th, middle school applications closed, so it's important for all of us to keep that in mind and offer those supports to our schools that may need it. Wednesday, April 9th, middle school offers will be released. Did I pass one? Yes. Kindergarten G&T, Tuesday, December 10th, kindergarten G&T apps open. Friday, January 24th, kindergarten G&T apps close. The April 2nd is when offers will be released for kindergarten G&T. 3K pre-K, Wednesday, January 15th, 3K pre-K applications open. Friday, February 28th, 3K and pre-K applications close. Tuesday, May 13th, pre-K offers are released, and Tuesday, May 20th, 3K offers are released. Excuse me. Gifted and talented, grade 1 through 4. Monday, April 21st, G&T upper grade applications open. Friday, May 9th, 2025, G&T upper grade applications close. And Wednesday, June 11th, upper grade offers are released. So just going through a couple of quick little data points, and then I'll bring you guys into iPlan to see some of the progress monitoring sections around priorities 1 through 5. And we add the 6th one as chronic absenteeism. I'm not sure why it's not listed necessarily just as a priority. It's just kind of like that other with chronic absenteeism. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that, and you'll see the chronic absenteeism data in a moment. But priority 4, I just wanted to bring everyone's attention to this because I didn't share this part during our last meeting when we went over our BOY data. And that was the current state of our Algebra 1 MAP assessment data. So unlike other areas that we use iReady, MAP is used for Algebra 1 specifically for our 8th graders. Right now, we have 78% of our children performing at the high average level. It's 10% higher than where we were last year at this time for last year's 8th graders. Typically, and I say typically, kids that perform in high average tend to be children that perform in that 80 to 85 and above range, which is where we want our middle schoolers to be, so that they are ready for the next sequence in high school. When children perform below than that 80, typically they have more struggles in going into high school coursework in mathematics, so we want to try to get as many of our kids as elevated as possible for that. We have fewer children in the low average achievement than we have last year. And we have a bucket of kids in that average achievement that we want to elevate for all of our kids, which ties into the MTSS part of our goals for our schools working specifically with kids that are falling outside that sphere of success. All districts and schools to be more inclusive and support families. So our goal here around improving the number of families that say that they receive information around the progress of their children. What's interesting here is we had about 618 families that completed, 622 families that completed this survey when this data was pulled. 618 actually answered this question. Not all of them answered this one. But among the 618, 524 of our families agreed that they get information from their schools in a timely manner when it comes to progress of their kids. 69 neither agreed or disagreed, and 25 disagreed with that, which means around 4% of our families feel like they need to get more timely feedback. 11% were in that neither agree or disagree, and 85% were in that range of yes, we do get feedback on our kids in a timely fashion. Now what's interesting about this is at this point of the year, our survey data is the same as if we had 14,000 folks completed. So last year's school survey with 14,000 or so people completing it, this is around the range of where we were at this time last year. So even though this is just a smaller sample, it's still ringing true, but I want to get more of our families to respond, so we did send out the survey blast again, requesting more families to complete it so that we have a little bit more of an understanding. So what our schools have been doing, they have been sending out Acadience reports to our parents, they have been sending out iReady to our families. They do get their report cards, but we want to continue to emphasize this across our schools so that our families are well aware of what's going on with their children at home.
Dr. Mike?
Yeah.
Is this information also available by school and will be shared at some point with schools?
Yeah, so long as we have enough info, we have some schools that have had a lot more parents completed than others. So if you have a sampling of 5, it's not going to necessarily help you as much as a school that's had hundreds. But yes, it'll be accessible to all of our schools. Yeah.
Is it something that will be shared in the SLP meetings or?
Yeah, so that's a really important thing, Rachel, that we can certainly bring up to all of our schools. Yeah, that's a recommendation that we can share to bring it to the SLT meetings as part of that conversation. But again, it's got to be something where we have enough families that have contributed. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at something that's not going to be very helpful at all. But I love that suggestion. And the last part that I wanted to just quickly show you in terms of a snapshot was chronic absenteeism. So right now, we are ahead of pace from where we were in 23-24. By about 4% from year over year, which is a good thing for us. But this is the time of year when attendance starts to creep back in the direction we don't want it to go. We're number 2 in the city in terms of overall attendance rate in District 25. We are number 3 in chronic absenteeism rate overall in New York City.
Third best?
Third best, yeah. And yet we still have rates that I know we want to improve on, right? But when you look year to year, pre-K, which is a tremendous, tremendous struggle because our 4-year-olds love to find those fingers in their mouths in some way, shape, or form, and they get sick. Our 4-year-olds do get sick more frequently than we would like. So our attendance rates are lower in pre-K. But when you look year over year, it's about almost a 10%, 9% difference between pre-K last year and pre-K this year in terms of chronic absenteeism rates. It's still awfully high though. Almost 33% chronic absenteeism rates for pre-K is high. Kindergarten from 26 to 20. And then it goes in reverse order, but I'll start with 8th grade. 8th grade, 3% lower. 7th grade, 1.7% lower. 6th grade, about 1.5% lower. 5th grade, 4% lower. 4th grade, about 3% lower. Grade 3 is about 4% lower. Grade 2, almost 6% lower, over 6% lower. And grade 1, over 4%, almost 4.5% lower. So our chronic absenteeism rates have declined, which is an amazing thing. Our building leaders have worked really, really hard to support this, along with their teachers that are on their teams, school aides that are on their teams, counselors that are on their teams, all working towards improving outcomes here for our kids that are chronically out. And I do believe we'll start seeing relationship to progress because of this improvement over time, provided that this stays true over the year. And it is always a struggle, a bit of a struggle for us to sustain this, but these rates that you're seeing here, bound down to 10, 11, we're starting to approach spaces that where we were in the past in terms of overall attendance rates. We want to continue to grow lower and lower so that we know that our children are in school on a day-to-day basis. So we are moving in the right direction. The only thing that I will say is that for us, it's about how do we keep our foot on the gas pedal, consistently reminding families, because we went from 95.4%, we are now at 95.1% in terms of overall attendance rate from November to where we are in December. It does tend to happen, but we want to continue to remind our families the importance of being in school. I can tell you my daughter's home today. You know, things are going around our schools. It is something that does happen at this time of year too. Reminders of what it is to keep those hands nice and clean and washed and out of one's mouth. You know, because it does wind up creating that space of ongoing illness and impacting kids' ability to be in school. Okay. So any quick questions about just those quick 3 data sets before I bring you into iPlan?
Knock on wood. We're seeing, because I'm seeing it every day that the attendance sheet comes in 2 columns, and for years it was like column 1 and then some column 2, and now it's like half a column 1. Every day I get the attendance report, so it's so nice to see that. But like Dr. Mike said, it's starting to tick up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But even staff attendance is better this year that we're seeing across the district.
That's awesome. Yeah, and just so everyone knows, what I'm excited about is kindergarten and first grade were 2 target grades at the start of the year. Every single school started with early outreach to our families of children that were absent the previous year, including pre-Kers coming into kindergarten. And I do think that had a positive impact on where we are now. So that raised awareness. Sometimes our families don't realize that pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, the impact of not being in school. We've talked about this many times. And I think that additional awareness has gone a long way in terms of them coming into school on a daily basis. So for those of you who are not familiar with iPlan, this is the iPlan portal. Our goals inside of this space are connected to Priority 1 all the way through what's considered Section 5. It's an add-on to this other space, but it's not given necessarily a Priority 6 designation. It's the additional priority for chronic absenteeism. So what we have in here are our goals, kind of our data trends. This is where we started with at the beginning of the year. You'll notice up here we have our root causes connected into this space as well for our district plan. I'm not going to read through all of those. We've gone through that already. And then we've established our goals across the district. Each of these is similar. We just broke it out according to our priority groups, which we know are our all students, our Hispanic learners, our Black learners, our students with IEPs, and our multilingual learners. The goal is that we improve outcomes for each of these groups by the end of the school year, setting a benchmark of 10% for those target groups by the end of the year. These are all of our benchmark measures that we put in for each of our subgroups, aligned with expectations from Acadians, which is the assessment that we are using. And what we included in here are our action steps, and then we'll scroll down to our implementation monitoring. So some of the things that we do here, the Acadians assessment, specific looking at areas like first sound fluency, phoneme segmentation, nonsense word fluency, oral reading fluency, and retell. And what I did identify here is almost on track. Now, the reason almost on track is because of where we're currently sitting. We are about 3% higher than where we were last year in terms of Acadians' performance from BOY to BOY, which does show an improvement. Our targeted subgroups still have a ways to go. The big subgroup that improved the most, comparatively speaking, year over year, were our students with IEPs. Now, one of the other things that we have done, just for you guys to see, this is part of my own process. We take our goals, and let me make this a little bit bigger. So we take our goals, and this is more the qualitative space. So the things that we said we were going to do, did we do them? And what else do we need to do in terms of next steps for our goals? So we've gone through the first couple of months of the year. These are the things that we said we would do here in this second column, right here. And then things that we say that, you know what, we just need to continue to work on. So in this particular grade, continued focus on decodable text. Standalone time for our English language learners. We want to continue to build our work inside of that space. And for those of you who are not sure what that standalone time is, our entering and emerging children get 4 periods where they're specifically with their service provider to build listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. So we're really emphasizing that time and using these texts to help them decode words. Looking to build out the Acadian's assessment tools across our grades to support progress monitoring. So I'm not going to read through all of these, but just wanted to show you the process that we follow. In addition to our overarching data that you see here, which details all the percentages, and you guys already saw this in November's meeting, so I'm not going to read through all of that for you as well. We will do this check again once we get to progress monitoring section 2, which is from now until February. The benchmark for the second window ends in February, so we won't be putting that in here until the February meeting. By February, we will have our next set and round of data for you available. But that, in a nutshell, is our process for priority. Yeah.
If you could click on one of the little crosses for adding comments.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, have the DLT members who are new see that they can click on.
Yeah, so
and leave a comment.
in any of these spaces,
Okay.
there is a comment button that anyone from the team can enter any of their thoughts about what is here and then add in a comment. So if there are things that you notice inside of the DCEP that you feel, you know what, this is unclear to me, I'm not sure what this means, we need more information on that, all of that stuff can be added right here to the iPlan portal as a parent member.
And it also shows which comments have been left. And bear in mind, whenever you leave a comment, it's available to everybody who has access to that DCEP.
Do we all have access, or
Yes.
do we have to request?
Every DLT member should have access. If you don't, send a request into the superintendent. We will make sure that you get access.
Yeah, Patricia, you're probably maybe the only one that might not have at this point. But we can add you.
If Charmaine has it,
Yeah.
the president will
Forward it to you?
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
Got it.
Would it be the same login that we have for our schools CPP?
No.
Would it be separate?
Different.
It's a different log.
So, yeah, I don't know that log-on, because I know the school one that I have.
So we can follow up on that. So who, Eden and Rachel? Yeah, we can follow up to make sure that you guys have access to that portal for sure.
And I know the emphasis has been about iPlan entering for SLTs, the sign-in sheets and the agenda, et cetera.
Right.
Is that also done for DLT?
Yes.
Yes, I do that for the DLTs, so you don't have to worry about it. It's my job to put it in for all 5 districts, and I collect the material from these meetings, and I can't say that I'm 100% caught up, but they come after me, they don't come after you if it's not there.
So, and we've kind of made that part of it very easy. As you guys know, this is our district site. Everything on our district site is all here. Calendar, date, all the resources, even for us, if you wanted to see it and kind of and share out where does this information live, it's all here and accessible. Sometimes our schools struggle with keeping all of it in the same space. This is just the approach that we've developed here at the district, which I would imagine makes it easier for Gus too to manage all of it later on.
I want to call out Lewis, because Lewis always helps me with the technical issues that inevitably come up with various documents.
And Gus, do you have a sense of like which schools are complying and which schools?
Yes, I get reports from Central, and it's part of what I'm going to talk about. You're currently, I think, at about 50%, and the PACs also have to do their part as well. So that's part of my agenda items. I'll talk about it.
Are you able to show us where that is now, or where Gus will?
We can show it since you're live.
Yeah. You're talking about the, where they enter?
Yeah. You go down to Title I, on a school, pick a school, any school.
In terms of, you want me to go in here, or where they're entering their documents?
Where they're entering, their documents. I think you're in it.
Yeah, I don't think they enter in here though, Gus. There's a special place for them to enter their.
Yeah, go back up.
Yeah.
And it's towards the bottom.
Which
It's got
tab?
Title I programming for me.
Oh, yeah, no. Okay, I thought you said go into Title I. That's why I said it's not where they would
It's
enter that.
down further. It's towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Keep going. Up. Title I, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, pick September or October.
This is PS 20, right?
Yep.
So this school, you see, they've entered their minutes, they've entered their agenda, they've entered their handouts, and their invitation. So they're doing a good job.
So it is something we do need to be more diligent in. There's no doubt about that. I think we got the luck of the draw on clicking on the lucky school that had everything in there for October. It is something that we're still working on for some of our schools in terms of getting it up there. It's not that they don't have minutes or agenda or any of those things. Sometimes it's just one of those things that we just need to keep sending out reminders to make sure it just becomes part of a routine at the end of a session for some of our buildings. But at any rate, that's kind of where all that information would go. It's really not anything crazy. It's just a drag and drop in here. Let me just go back into that space.
That's very easy. You just drag the document and drop it in.
Yeah, so it's, there's a space for them to add in their work. I don't know if you can do it in this one now, but they just drag it right into the space and add it like you would any other meeting document if you were putting it in the Google Drive. It's a similar type of process.
Gus, is this something you'll go over at our President's Council's meeting this month?
It should be gone over.
Or is it something I should bring?
All constituencies that are
I can
members
share.
of the SLT.
I can hop on and share that.
Should be aware of this. And it's relatively new. So, there's a learning curve. People are still learning about it, getting used to it, etc. And I'm sort of jumping into
That's
my
okay.
agenda item. There are two issues here. One issue is and it's a school-based decision to decide who it is that's going to be responsible for putting it in. And whoever that person is has to have what's called edit access. They can't have just view access, or else they won't be able to put it in. The second piece, which is a SLT and school issue, and I spent last week many hours with a particular school, Central and the state, and I'm not even sure if it's resolved yet on this issue. You notice the school we just looked at, they put their material in, but the quality of what they put in is a separate issue. And what the state has been doing is they've been spot checking the documents. You know this because you and I went through this quite a bit. And one item that they're very, very particular about is to make sure that parental engagement is taking place. So Central has sent out some models and samples, which I've distributed widely, and I know you've distributed them as well, and then we can continue to distribute them, of what it needs to look like. The school that I was dealing with, for example, last week, and I'm not even sure if it's resolved yet, is an issue that came up with, yes, the parent engagement policy is on the agenda. And it also is a link to it. But what the state was looking for is they were looking for proof that parents discussed it. So they wanted to see that someone made a comment, or that the principal asked for comments or input, and received some, etc. And all of this appears in the minutes. So this is not something that people have routinely done in the past. For example, I know from my experience that a lot of schools, in their minutes, they would just put in decisions that were made. They would not put in any discussions that took place. So this is another piece now that the state is looking for, particularly in connection with parents. So that's something that people have to become more accustomed to. And I'm sure it's December, I'm sure I'll still be talking about it in June. I say this at every district, as you will see. I'm very proud of Queens North and all of my Queens districts. We are heads above most of the city in putting everything in. And when all the percentages come out, we have either the 100% or the highest percentages of districts citywide. It's rare that, occasionally we get some competition from Staten Island or 1 or 2 districts from Manhattan. But by and large, we're ahead of the city. So the reason why I bring it up is if we're in this situation, you can imagine what the rest of the city's like. So this is going to take a lot of time.
And something that we're actually playing around with a little bit now, and hopefully can evolve even for in-person meetings. And we'd have to figure out exactly what that would look like. But Zoom has the ability through artificial intelligence to capture who's saying what, when, and then it generates its own minutes. So, obviously you have to be reviewed to make sure that nothing is being recorded that's not aligned with what you're saying. But to me, to take advantage of the technology that we have accessible to us in a meaningful way, to me that's a meaningful way. You don't have to have someone sit there and try to figure out word for word who said what during a meeting. Artificial intelligence can help do that. So we are exploring that a little bit. It might mean that everyone has their Zoom open, and when you're ready to speak, you just can speak right into Zoom, and then it captures everyone's information, who said it, and then AI does the rest, based on what was shared.
It's interesting you mentioned that District 30, for some time now, has some AI program that creates detailed minutes of everything that's said at the, and after every meeting, all the DLT members get a copy of that. They did that on their own. I think it was some tech-savvy DLT member who came up with that, not a staff member. And they routinely do that. In addition to recording, the meetings the way you do, they use that AI program, which I've seen it. So for my purposes, because I expect that we will get monitored at the DLT level the way the state monitors the SLT. In fact, I know the monitoring is coming because they're already monitoring some other districts. They didn't pick us. But our turn will come down the line. So it'll be useful to have that material for us to put in to the iPlan database. Because just like you have a tile for schools, if you go to the DLT site, the DCP site, you'll see a tile for DLT meetings, which looks very similar. And I have to drop in all of that stuff. And I should mention this, unlike the schools, in collaboration with my superintendents, I decided to just do it myself. Because I didn't want to take up the time of any district staff or the superintendents to do this for the DLT members. So since I attend all the DLTs and I have access to all the materials, why not just have me do it? So unless it's changed in the future, that's the process that we have at the district level for entering that material.
So much like our other whoops. How did it get kicked off?
No.
It took
the
back
other
over again.
computer. Like the other night.
Much like the other priority areas, we went through a similar process of looking at the data, which we did with you guys as a collective DLT, and identified whether or not we were on target or not. And for priority 3 as well, which is another reading goal, also identified as almost on track. While we did not necessarily have that space of improving towards that 5 to 10% in the direction we want, our action plan in and of itself is aligned with where we want to go. We're implementing year 2 of HMH across our district. We are engaging staff in explicit instruction training. Our schools are really supporting our teachers inside of that space. So on the qualitative side, moving in the direction we want to go. The data side, we still need to improve, and hopefully by our February benchmark, we'll be able to see whether or not we've made that progress towards the end that we would want. But all of this information, again, is listed in here for you guys to see, already reviewed with you already in previous meetings. I just wanted to make sure that you guys know it's also an I-plan in the event that you want to go back in and give it another look. This was done for each of our priority areas in the document. And we'll quickly just share math as well, just so you can see math. And in the one section we're going to spend some time on today, it is a little bit of a lengthy document, but we are going to go through it just so that we can approve and make any adjustments, and that's the parent engagement policy that all of you guys have in front of you. I know it's part of Gus's conversation with you guys as well, but we're going to spend a little bit of time on that policy today, identify any areas that we want to adjust from past practice, and then we'll approve, come to consensus on it, and then we'll make adjustments in the portal that this has been amended as of today, provided that we're in a good place with it after review. But anyway, you'll see a common practice for all of our goals in here, from action plan to progress monitoring. All of that stuff is embedded in here for anyone to look at.
Can the screen be made a little bigger?
Oh yeah.
You could pin
What
it.
I say, but I'm still like,
Yeah, so, there it is.
perfect.
Nice.
Whoop.
Whoa,
I think I went a little too big.
That's great.
I need a tablet that size.
So just know that some of these spaces, it asks for repeated information. So if there's not another goal, that's why these things are blank. So all the action steps are up above.
It's a good idea to put
In the action
NA
step.
on
In the other
on
ones?
any blank spaces.
So these are aligned, it's just a function of the actual tool. You know, it says here's your goal and then action steps, and then if there was another goal, action steps. But they're all to have repeated space inside of it. It's not necessary, but we can put in the NAs just as a placeholder. But you'll see inside of here, these are the things that we're looking to get accomplished for our students. We are looking for overall 5% gain for our kids in both Algebra 1 regions, and then for all the other kids, improvement throughout the year for outcomes according to iReady and then the state exam. So all of these things remain consistent across each of our areas. Okay?
Does that have to be manually inputted, or can it, is it like?
No, this is all typed in.
Oh, wow.
Some of the things remain consistent that we just have to update, like the profile of the district. Those things are just updatable things. But action plans, root cause, all of that stuff is entered.
This year, the districts all had to enter it by hand. The reason for that is that the format was changed vis-a-vis the priorities. Going forward for next year, my expectation, unless the chancellor changes the format again and comes up with a different format of different priorities, is that what the I-Plan team does is they migrate all of last year's text into the new template, new year template. So all you have to do is edit, and that's going to be the case for the schools as well, to cut down on the amount of typing, and that allows editing and deleting as opposed to having to, type everything in fresh. Although you can still do that, but that's, that's something that I hope to see going forward. But this year was a different situation.
So the parent engagement policy that you have here, you're gonna notice there might be some issues with formatting. I try to correct as many of them as possible. When you copy from here and then put it into another document, it's not exactly clean. So if you see a couple of spaces, that means I may have missed one or two inside of it. But if we can just take the next 8 minutes or so, just to do a quick once-over of the parent engagement policy, identify anything there that looks like it doesn't make any sense, and then we'll do a quick go-around the group to identify anything that we should be adding or making adjustments on within the parent engagement policy. You need one?
That please. Okay.
Right here, you know I will. I know where you're pointing. I forgot I brought a whole bunch of them down. Does anyone else need a pen? Yeah? Ready?
Good catch.
The new Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Should play for the Mets.
760 million. I heard they're making deals.
I'm a lot cheaper than that.
Yeah, he wants to.
Oh, he got a pen. Right?
I also need to point out that the parent engagement policy lives, once you approve it, it's on iPlan at the very end of your DCP. Just like the school policies are. So it always comes at the end of the document, and in the DCP it's alone. There's the 100.11 plan at the very end, which I can talk about, and the policy. At the school level, you have the compact and the policy. They're both at the very end of the CEP.
Let's take another minute or two and we'll come back together, and anything that you see to highlight that we need to adjust, or things that don't make sense. I know I have a couple of things that I've noted myself, and then we'll do a quick around the table. Bless you. All right, guys, want to start with you? Any noticings or wonderings or anything on the
Well,
policy?
I noticed that the date, as you highlighted, there is
Yeah.
21-23, so I'm wondering whether there was another version after this that didn't make its way into iPlan. So we need to check on that. There's also a section that's called pre-K and kindergarten orientations. I recall last year or the year before that Central, in collaboration with the state did one of these checks and sent us some language that they wanted to see about the transition from pre-K and early childhood, some kind of transition language. So I recall sending that out to all the districts and dropping it in to the engagement policy. So I'm not sure whether that language is here. So I'm going to go back to my computer and check the policies and the DCPs that I have archived, because I'm not as sophisticated as Louis and the superintendent and everybody else. I do things the old-fashioned way. I have folders and I download and I keep the old folders, and I even print things out. I have files. This is my District 25 file, for example, paper. So I can check the paper and
We have folders too, guys.
Yeah, but
I'm only kidding.
I keep the old ones on my
I'm
desktop.
only kidding.
You guys have them here, but you see, you have to download everything. And by the way, since we're talking technology, let me mention one thing that you should be aware of at the school level. When you're putting documents in for the PAC or the SLT, 99% of the time, the documents can be dropped in. I've had the experience where there's some kind of, PDFs are okay, Word documents are okay. There's some kind of exotic kind of documents that I've seen, and I've tried to put them in, and they won't go in. Bear in mind that there may be some kind of a document. I'm not sure if Excel spreadsheets, for example, can be dropped in. So, if there is something that you're trying to drop in, or, you know, one of the people responsible is trying to drop in, and it doesn't work, email iPlan and copy me, and maybe they have a solution, if it's an important document that needs to go in.
Thank you, guys. Lamar, any comments, wonderings?
Just one, I don't know if it's semantics or not, or just a little grammatical or so, but second page, part one, where it says parent feedback, towards the bottom. Submitting to the state Department of Ed or the city? Is this supposed to be state, or just curious about that?
Well, I'm sorry, Lamar, just call that one more time.
Second page, part one, general expectations, you go all the way down to number 5, parent feedback.
Parent feedback, okay.
Right? The school district will submit any parent comments with the plan when submitting it to is it New York State Department of Ed or just city? I caught that and I don't know if that meant city or state.
It's submitting it to the, it should probably be both.
Okay, I highlighted that part, Lamar. I'll double check to see if the language, this part of it is very much like typical language that goes across this entry part, so, but we'll take a look, see if that needs to be changed.
That's it.
Okay. Rachel?
This is just a question, as far as in that same section that Lamar was referring to, that the school district will submit any parent comments. Are these comments obtained through the SLT or through the survey, the district survey? What is the form of the source of these comments?
Yeah, I mean, what it's referring to is what I was talking about earlier, about recording input and collaboration. So there are a couple of ways. One way is the comment feature that you saw in iPlan, where people could leave comments. Another is the minutes and capturing discussions at DLT member meetings. The other way is sometimes, I've had the experience, but you know, not in District 25 or in Queens North, where parents are unhappy with something and they write directly to the state. And then that comes back to the district, and then the district has to write a response, and you know, there's interaction going back and forth. But that's an unusual kind of situation. That's the kind of situation you also sometimes have at the school level, with issues that come up, you know, at the school level as well. So the feedback, you know, captures all of that, and that's what this section is related to. That feedback is always something that is welcome, is accepted, and transparent, and it's part of the interaction at all levels, you know, from the bottom up and from the top down.
You know, I think, though, Rachel, I think maybe this is something we can even bring to President's Council, on the President's Council meeting, even when they're meeting with their general PA meeting, as a kind of a review item to say, you know, is this something that, you know, we're in agreement with? Does anyone have any comments that can then be shared, even with us here, to then make adjustment on it? I mean, we send surveys all the time, you know, but maybe this won't be more of a space to just connect with the
I mean, you could
PA,
add
BTA presidents as part of the process.
Dr. Mike, you could add here, if you wanted to, that the district also sends out surveys, because you do your own internal surveys, and that's a form of, you know, getting parent feedback. So, you know, these documents consist largely of boilerplate language that, you know, and templates that we have. But what we always tell districts and schools, you should take the template and make it your own. Add your own stuff. So this is an opportunity to add, well, you know, that the district also, you know, sends out its own annual survey the parents and collects information and feedback on an ongoing basis. Because I know that you've been doing that for many, many years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my only other question is, the page that starts with pre-K kindergarten orientations, I know we're an acronym heavy organization. What is
What?
PCEN?
Which page?
Third to the last, begins with pre-K and kindergarten orientation. Sorry, that's one of those numbers.
Yeah, I should have thought about that
What was
before I
the
printed it,
acronym?
right? Okay, got it.
Parent, family orientation.
Pre-K, kindergarten, parent orientations.
And
Okay,
it
what was
says
the question?
Title I and or PCEN services. What are PCEN services?
Yeah, I don't know whether that term is still used, Mike. It's a PCEN was pupil, it has to do with counseling and support. Yeah, PCEN. It's a Title I term
Mhm.
that we used to use. Is it still current?
I haven't heard it.
Okay, so maybe it's something to look at and revise.
And then lastly, as Gus mentioned, the last page, the dates.
Yeah.
About it, you know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I bracketed that one too.
Pupils with compensatory education needs?
Yeah, PCN,
Yeah.
right. It's a Title I term, isn't it?
I don't know, I didn't.
I mean, that sounds to me that's something
So
a little
it
bit
still
different. We're gonna look, I highlighted,
exists?
we'll look
Does
to
it
see what that is.
still exist, Louis?
I mean, I don't know.
Because when I was a funded programs director, we used to fund counselors through Title I schools through PCN.
Oh, got it. Is that a funding source? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to look. Yeah.
That was it.
Thank you, Rachel. Patricia?
Yeah, I'm just talking to Jenny and in regards to, just to clarify, will be number 7, definition of parental involvement, and we'll go to dedicated staff liaison. It's gonna be a specific person assigned besides the team that you have already working on it. You're gonna pick somebody, just some clarification.
I'm sorry, could you do me a favor? I should have numbered the pages. I didn't think to number
It's
them.
number 7, she said
Third page,
definition.
the
Third page.
Definition of
Sorry about
parental
that.
involvement.
I wasn't, yeah. So will be number 1.
dedicated staff liaison.
You already have a
Okay.
team. Are you gonna handpick somebody? A staff member? How would that work? This will be done under the direction of community.
Yeah, so, so all of our schools have have someone that connects individual with the school. So when it comes to parent engagement though, that's typically Jenny's role as well as formerly Esther's role, who was the direct contact between schools and their parent coordinators for anything parent engagement, support-wise. So that's typically our direct relationship between parent engagement and our district. Yeah.
Besides working in collaboration with everybody else.
Yeah, with everybody else, yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
Well, and also it says to Title I schools, but it's to all schools.
We do that with every school, yeah. Yeah, it's not just Title I.
Now it's you.
But that's every school, we offer that same kind of support.
Should that be reflected here?
Yeah, you could say.
Yeah, we could say Title I and
non-
non-Title I
non-Title
schools.
Right.
Thank you.
Inclusive or.
Yeah, the template tends to come from Title I, so it's very Title I
Oriented.
focused.
That will be.
Yeah,
Thank you very
perfect,
much.
thank you.
And I should also comment that everything here, and everything in iPlan that exists, at the community school level, also at the high school level. Superintendent 2 and the Queens North High School team, they have their own DCP. They have their own policy. And, one of the things that the state is very keen on is there collaboration and communication between the high school level and the community school district level? One of the things that we've done here in Queens North, and I mentioned this because I know some of you are new, is all of the high school representatives always give a report at every DLT. And they have a PowerPoint. And they share their DCEP. And for example, they share their feedback, they share that the DCEP has been finalized. So when the state asks the question, how, because they don't have their own separate DLT, they're incorporated into the community school district. So when the state asks the question and they say, how does communication flow between the high schools and the elementary, middle schools, and the high schools, the answer is, look at the high school reports at every DLT and look at the documents that are shared between the community school districts and the high schools. And that's a piece that, again, I've advocated citywide, and unfortunately it's not followed everywhere, but in Queens North, we always have a high school representative. In districts in the past, I've even had the high school superintendent attend some of the DLT meetings. And they always participate and leave documents which answers that question from central and the state about the interaction and the communication.
Yeah,
And-
so Eduardo's here, he has the space of serving as the superintendent's representative here on the district team. Anything that you noticed?
It looks fairly complete to me. It's pretty concise.
Rob?
Straightforward.
Good. Okay. So I will make the adjustments to the plan in the form of adding the non-Title I school. Go back to the beginning. I'll include the space around the parent feedback on page 2 around inclusive of survey data. Perhaps, Rachel, do you want to include in here something where we connect with President's Council as kind of part of our process, just to see if there's anything else that they would want to add for feedback? Yeah. So I'll include that in here, and we'll double check us as to whether or not this is New York City and or state in this particular box for parent feedback. On page 3, the dedicated staff liaison will include and non-Title I schools in there. That's on page 3, number 1. One of the things that I noted in here on page 4, it says accessible communication. Just that maybe we do that yearly review using the language access rubric that all of our schools engaged in this year. Just to double check to make sure that we're communicating with our families in a language that serves them as often as we possibly can. So Patricia, just for your knowledge, one of the things that as a recommendation from the DLT to all of our SLTs was that they use the language access rubric to kind of do their own evaluation of, are we communicating with families in a language that supports them, whether it's through the online, oral, written translation supports. So all of our schools did engage in that kind of work to do their own little self-assessment. So what do you guys think about adding that here to this section, just as part of the work that we do that yearly access rubric review?
Yeah.
All right, we'll check on the PCEN services, whether or not that still belongs. Gus?
Yeah.
And I think that's all the comments that we had, other than the last page, checking on whether or not, just adjusting the end of the policy dates and the early child transition
I'll
information.
check the early child piece.
Okay. All right, looks like we're good.
And just again, because we have new people here, once the policy is finalized, it's a Title I requirement that it be translated into the major languages of every district and distributed to all schools. And in Queens North, all of my districts routinely do this. And by the end of June, everybody in the, and you know, it also gets posted on the websites. So it's available in multiple languages, the major languages. the translation's done by the translation unit at Central. So it has to be sent to the translation unit. Can you check and make sure that you're doing that at the high school level as well?
Yes, we
Because it
do
is
have a language access coordinator at every school. Now my question is, how do I know who the principal designated as the language access coordinator for the school? Is that something is that a designation in Galaxy?
That should be a
Yeah,
school-based
yeah,
decision.
those are typically identified. Yes, Rob, the language access coordinator,
Galaxy.
typically entered into Galaxy. It's gotta be something that each school identifies inside of their budget to indicate who's doing that role.
But do take back that in Queens North High Schools, you should also make sure that it's translated into your major languages and distributed to all schools. Because that's a Title I requirement. And it's mandated and required of Title I schools, but my experience is that in Queens North, we distribute to all the schools.
Mhm.
There's no reason why the non-Title I schools shouldn't have it. And in District 26, which is largely non-Title I, they do it anyway, for all schools.
Is it distributed by the district or is it sent
The
to the
district,
school?
the
District.
district office,
Yeah.
And there's a procedure, and it's a little, I've been involved in the procedure, so I know it's a little time consuming. You have to send it to the translation unit at Central, and they take a while to actually translate your individual document and send it back to you. So the earlier they get it, the earlier you get it back, and then, you could transition it and send it out to the schools.
Eden, was there anything that you wanted to add just in terms of
No,
comment on the, are we good?
I'm good.
Okay. And that concludes my part of the meeting. I turn it over to Gus just to talk a little bit about the timeline.
Yeah.
We already went through the engagement policy, which is on his section, and then we'll go through each of our constituent groups.
Okay, the DCP, you've seen what it looks like in iPlan, and make sure that you all have access. And by the way, you all should have access to District 25's DCP, but you should all have access to the Queens North High School's DCP as well. So do check on that, and if someone doesn't have access to the high school piece, because I don't know whether the technology people at iPlan automatically give you access to both, or we have to do a separate request. Do you happen to know, Louis, whether they grant access to both, or only to the community school district?
I don't know, I've never asked them.
Yeah, okay, so, one of you check and see, when you go in to iPlan, you should have access, there's a drop down, you pick your district. There's also, on the drop down, the Queens North High Schools, and see whether you have access to the Queens North High School one, as well. If you don't, email the superintendent will email me, and we will, make sure that you get, access, to, that document as well. The timeline. Now, I toyed with the idea of bringing the DCP signature page to this meeting and having you sign it all, but the deadline for finalization of the DCP is December 23rd. So, I'm gonna wait until right after the break, and then send you the usual DocuSign, on the DCP. And I say this, and at every DLT, and I'll keep saying it, I have to apologize for DocuSign. For me, it's a difficult program to use, because I send it out to people. Some people see it, some people don't. I have to send it out again. I send it out again. It's like ping pong. It goes back and forth, and some people sign it once, some people sign it twice, some people never sign it, and it disappears after a while. If you ignore the email that you get from me, for reasons unknown to me, it disappears, doesn't stay in your.
I never know.
So, it's a process, but, in this world of technology and remote meetings and everything else, it is the way we get everything signed. Only District 26 opted to have all in-person meetings. So there I do everything the old-fashioned way with paper, and then I scan them and put them in. But for all the other districts, it is a DocuSign procedure. So look for that right after the holiday break, and then it will get, I asked the superintendent's office, once the document is finalized, if they could send you all an email that it's been finalized, so you can look at it at your leisure and make sure that you've looked at it and you don't have any comments to make and that you're comfortable in signing off on it. And the good thing about the technology is you could look at it in your pajamas at night. You don't have to come to a meeting. You don't have to do it,
Right.
during working hours. You could do it anytime you want. Same goes for all CEPs.
So this was the last part in terms of revision. We made the revisions that were requested from the feedback that we received. So this will be updated, and then we'll send you the final draft for everyone to give a look-see. And then we'll be ready to finally approve by December 23rd, which is when the final due date is.
And then it gets posted on a rolling basis. And then you'll be able to, it becomes publicly available for everybody to see. Now, to see the draft, you have to be a DLT member and have, the special access. But just like CEPs, which is the next thing I'm gonna talk about, once it gets finalized and approved, and by the way, only the superintendent can approve the DCEP for public posting. There's a special button that only superintendents see. It's the same, the reason I bring it up, it's the same at the school level. I get a lot of questions from APs, sometimes from SLT members and secretaries and so on. I don't see the button for, the approval and finalization of the CEP. And I tell them, you have to go in as the principal. Only the principal sees that button. I don't see that button. Only the principal can see it. So there are two ways. The principal can approve it and finalize it for posting, and that should have been done already. We're in the process of the superintendents finalizing all CEPs, right?
All district CEPs have been.
Okay, so they've all been approved. So they'll start posting them probably, after the break. If you're interested in seeing a particular school and you don't see it there posted, then inquire at the district office. They will send it to me, and I will find out from Central if maybe there's some technical issue and it's not posted. As I said, I'm very proud of our record in Queens North and District 25. We always get everything done. I assure you that there will be numerous schools and districts that a month or 2 months from now will still have some, stragglers. We're not in that situation, thank God. And by the way, the high schools are very good at doing the same thing and getting their material done as well. And I will get a report on CEP completion, and I'll be sharing it with the superintendents shortly. Progress monitoring is November, February, and June for the schools. It's similar for our DCP. The superintendent just shared with you that the progress monitoring is already taking place at the district level, and I will be getting reports again on districts that haven't put that information in. When you, by the way, it used to be, but it's a good idea to err on the side of caution. Never let any blank spaces appear in either a CEP document or really any of these documents. Because what it does is these things are machines, and the machine doesn't know the difference between, well, I don't have to fill this out in your particular case or somebody else. It just looks for blanks. So if it sees a blank, then it highlights it and it says, you know, that something's incomplete. So I always advise everybody, just put NA in anything that's there and that you didn't delete. So the machine won't pick up an incomplete factor. I think we've covered everything. Oh, on the materials that go in, I've already spoken to the importance of everybody putting in the materials, having edit access, and having make sure that you put in the interaction on the part of the parents in particular, but interaction in general. They want to see some interaction taking place. If anybody needs the documents that we've already distributed, there are documents, PowerPoints, on how to do almost everything. Whether it's adding the stuff for your PAC materials or your SLT materials, we have samples and we have documents. So just send out the district an email that you'd like those documents. I gave them out at the previous, I think it was in last month's, so they're actually available on the district website if you look at last month's documents. But if you have difficulty accessing them, etc., you can email Jenny, and we'll send them to you. And we'll just keep sending them out. And if anybody needs training or some extra help on anything, both the district staff and I'm always available to assist with any questions that come up. December 16th is the deadline for all Title I schools to put in their 1% set aside plan. That also goes into iPlan, different from years past. If there are fiscal questions, email Yelena, our SGO, Senior Grants Officer. If there are any programmatic kinds of questions, email, have the school email the district office. Jenny, and between Jenny and myself, we will answer any programmatic questions that come up. Again, we've distributed samples of those documents, both filled out and blanks. There's a template that schools should be using for that 1% set aside. Some schools have asked me the question as recently as this week, does this mean that we only have until December 16th to spend the money, or when can we spend the money? It's the same deadline that you spend all of the other money that your school has. So there is no special deadline for spending the 1% set aside on the engagement money. It just should be, it should be to support the parents supporting the Title I program, both academically and social, emotionally, etc. Not to just go on a trip and have a good time, for example. We have samples of do's and don'ts in the PowerPoints. So I think that's covering all of my items. If anything occurs to you after the meeting, just email the district office. I'll run after the answer if I don't know what to tell. Thank you, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Gus. Okay, we're going to move on to the high school superintendent's report.
All right. Okay, let's get started. I guess we can skip the first few slides. Greeting from Superintendent 2. our mission and vision. We've covered that in previous meetings. And these are the outcomes. We can, this is last year's outcomes. We can forward this one as well. And our goals for 2024, 25, next. And this is how we're achieving yeah, next. So we went over this one at the last meeting as well. Next. So our family forum, so we have one coming up January 28th. Everyone's invited. All this info is on our website. Next. Safe and welcoming environment. Part of this document is still a work in progress. I will be dropping in the folder once this is completed. Next. So the incident data on our goal 3. So we have gone down on suspensions, 4 and 5 incidents. I don't have this information, but I will upload it. Our executive director this morning is at LIC, and so I couldn't get the information on time. Usually we share our monthly deck with all of the team members, and we have it ready by the first week. So as soon as I get this information, I'll drop it. But our goal in terms of goal 3, our incidents are down. Next. High school graduation requirements. Here we go. We can go next. So we celebrated curriculum night at Grover Cleveland, and Superintendent 2 was there, and they did a ribbon cutting ceremony for one of the labs there. Next. That's part of the celebration. Next. So community chats, this is where we stand in terms of community chat. Next. Next. So we have a workshop for parents. These are social emotional workshops. So our first of part 2 was on conflict resolution. Was held December. I can't see from here, December 8th, I think, or 9th. So parents love this type of interaction because they learn from one another, especially dealing with teenage issues. We had one parent saying, I do get along with the boys, but the girls are a little bit difficult in terms of sometimes they shut down with communication. And very quickly another parent said, this mom says, well, my daughter has tried not communicating with me, and what I do is I sit down with her and I say to her, hey, you're shutting down communications with me, I'll take away your communication device. And then you'll see how quickly teenagers respond to this type of interaction when they're saying, so they're kind of learning from one another. And so these sessions are not recorded only because parents share very personal information during these workshops. They do learn from one another, and it's going great. All these invites are listed on our website. Next. And that's it. Any questions? All right, so that's all for my high school update. Thank you.
Thank you, Eduardo. And yeah, any of the other information as you get it, and
Yes,
share
I
in
will
terms
upload
of
it.
any of the relationship to the goals, we'll edit it here for you guys so that
Thank you.
And make it accessible. Okay, thank you for that. One of the things that I did forget, and I'd shame on me forgetting, on Thursday we had a blue ribbon celebration. One of our schools was identified to receive the Blue Ribbon Award, so it's PS 130. This is the second time that they've earned the Blue Ribbon as a school. They did an amazing job of organizing. It's an interesting school in that their setup is not the norm. They don't have an auditorium. Their cafeteria serves as a gym, cafeteria, and auditorium, so it kind of serves multiple purposes. And they transform that entire space to make it really, really welcoming to our community. And principal, teachers, students, as well as all of the staff, including the custodial members, did a really terrific job of setting up their space. And it was a really, really well-run event. So big shout out to Principal Specchia and her team for earning that recognition, and they earned it for high performance. So there's 2 ways to earn Blue Ribbon. One is for high performance, the other one is to close the achievement gap, and they earned it for high performance. So as you were talking, Eduardo, it reminded me that I did not include that slide, and I should have, so big shout out to them. High School President's Council report.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Actually, our meeting is tonight, 6:30. Not gonna read all the superintendent's name. There's 7 of them presented today. They have a little PowerPoint, so we allow them to say what's going on. We're gonna touch upon the role of the safety team in our schools. That will be Mark represent. Safety concerns for our children in our schools and parent leaders' concerns. So we're gonna emphasize once again and the PTAs and the communication with the rest of the staff and also at DOE level. I mean, preaching parent engagement, so practice what you preach, you know? Parents to be aware of what's going on in the schools with the students, and I always also emphasize on the communication with the teachers and our PTAs. Preach, an asset in our school.
I'm also on the PTA of Cardozo as the treasurer, so. Just a little bit.
I'm so happy. I was very nervous in saying no, but thank you.
Rachel, just add a couple more roles.
I'm thinking about it. Wait.
I just got DPAC chairperson for District 26, so now I have to go to 2 DLT meetings too.
Oh my goodness.
You're very welcome.
We want you, we need you, so it's good. It's a good combo. We're having a Zoom meeting today because on January 13th, for first time, Queens High School President Council is going to have the chancellor in the meeting. So we're going over the Google questions, and that will pretty much be it. We did the Queens High School fair. Showed up over there, and also we're thinking about doing from our President Council April. I will say I don't have my calendar here. 2nd and 3rd, we're gonna have Queens North College Fair, and then we'll let you know. He's looking at me and say, I don't have that information. We're working process, in progress. In Queens South, we're gonna pick 2 high schools that I use public transportation, so I'm gonna rely on that, what is close to for the parents to get there. 6 p.m. will be the time, 6 to 8, so we can accommodate those parents with work. And also in Queens South, we're just looking for some also a place where everybody can get in. Park also, parking is a big issue when it comes to certain events in different areas. We're gonna again emphasize communication and governance, and that's pretty much it. I've been invited at different high schools, so I go in and do tours with the principals, so we see what's going on, how are they doing, how can we help them improve, and to get ideas. So I did Martin Van Buren, because I praised her for doing a fantastic job. So she said, if you want to come to the school, and I said, absolutely. So again, revamping the school was not an easy task, so I commend her for what she's doing, and I'm gonna do Frank Sinatra, and I just keep going around and,
Awesome.
telling them to keep up the good work, and if we can help, that's what we're here for.
Love it.
Thank you
so
for
much.
having me.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Rachel?
Our next meeting is December 16th. We'll definitely keep the District 25 survey forefront in our meeting. I know at my school I personally sent it out to all of our parent chats to hopefully generate participation. I believe we're trying to get a representative from the district office from HMH to speak. We did have Beth at our last meeting going over math information, which was very insightful, very informative. And possibly also PTA Link, which is an organization founded by parent leaders in Brooklyn that happen to also be attorneys, that have a very robust website to support parent leaders. We have a lot of new PTA presidents on our group, so trying to provide them as many resources as we can. Right now, we're we're having banking issues, both the President's Council as well as one of our schools. So just trying to navigate those things with getting help from the IRS, which isn't as easy as it sounds.
Doesn't sound easy.
So that's what's going on in the district for President's Council.
Awesome, thank you, and I'll work on getting you someone for each of you support.
Anna and Melinda's gonna come and help us.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Eden, CC.
So we just had our CEC meeting this past Wednesday. Our next one is actually going to be, wow, I just lost the page. January 8th at 7 p.m. During our last meeting though, we did put forth a resume for an AA, so we are hoping to get that moving and hopefully get an administrative assistant back in the door. And we also did add 2 new council members to our council because we had 1 resignation. So we still have our ELL seat and our District 75 seat open. But at least we were able to fill 2 more seats so that we can kind of fill up the council because we've been struggling to get quorum without members. So if you know anyone with ELL or D75 that wants to put in, we are looking to push for it still. So.
Rachel's like, oh.
Oh, by the way, Rachel, no.
I don't have
Pressure.
And Rachel's going for the world record in number of committees that one can be on in a given year.
Manny's already called me a dictator. He's like, I'm turning this into a dictatorship. I'm like, I promise I'm not.
Well, we appreciate you, Rachel. Thank you. Thank you for that, Eden. Lamar, anything from U of T?
Yes, so on December 18th, that's a Wednesday, we're having another parent workshop at the office in Queens. The theme of the workshop is goal setting for 2025, so there's 3 topics. Tools for success, I'll read off the flyer here. Learning effective strategies and tools to help your child reach their full potential. Mindset matters, discovering the impact of goal setting on your child's mindset and achievements, and supporting growth. Equip yourself with valuable insights and resources to guide your child's development. So that's on December 18th. That's at the office at 5:45. That's here, and I'll share, if you don't mind, not personal, but I have, I received word from the CEC in District 29. That's the first district I started working in before I moved to 25. And they're having a history fair on March 8th, which is a Saturday. So I'm still getting the particulars involved, and they really wanted to make it as big of a Queens event as possible. So I got word of it yesterday, I'm sharing it today, March 8th. I don't know if they want it by school or people within, like students within our district, they're interested in entering, I don't know all that. But I'll find that out, but District 29 is holding that, so I just got word of it, I'm sharing that. So think math fair, think science fair, history fair.
Love
Say
it.
my name.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something that you'll see us do as well. For the first time ever last year, we held the civics fair. It's kind of connected with this. Civics for All, we had our kids present their soapbox speeches, their take action projects. So we will be doing that again, just in light of that. We'll share some of that news too as we get closer to it. But thank you for that, Lamar. Rob.
Yeah, actually,
anything from CSA?
my students did their soapbox this morning, so it was nice to see it earlier this morning.
Art school too. My son won in the class, so he's up against now.
Yeah, that's great. What topic?
About not having GPA requirements for high school athletes.
Amazing. Yeah, excellent. Look at that.
I like it.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
What school?
499.
Okay.
Oh, nice. All right, CSA also wants to congratulate Principal Specchia and PS 130 for their hard work, and it's a lot to plan for an evening like that. I hear she did an amazing job.
Amazing job.
It was.
CSA is also very involved in helping administrations with class size reduction. I wanted me to mention that. We're trying to do it in a way that makes sense. There's applications that are coming out, and I think there's another application after that, and we're doing it in a way that's going to help children without really impacting schools in a way that changes the nature of how we run these buildings. And also, last month I mentioned how a lot of principals looking into the theme of our big yearly meeting was productivity. myself and a few other principals, after going with Dr. Mike to the city to a AI conference, have been starting to really mess around with some AI tools as a productivity tool. In fact, Dr. Mike was at my building on Friday for my PPO. One of my APs was taking notes the entire time. Before you got to your car, we took those notes, we put them into ChatGPT, and I asked for a summary, actionable next steps, and a plan. Right?
Was it good?
It was not as good as your feedback, but it was a good way for me to really capture all of the things we spoke about, and then put that into an action plan with my team. And over the weekend, we were looking at this stuff, and then this morning when I met with the team, we really had a way to start thinking about some of those next steps. So, it's not going to take the place of your brain, but it can be a excellent productivity tool, save a lot of time, because we have a lot of work to do, right? So if we could have something like that to help us, if we could do it in a way that still, keeps your brain on, I think that's great. And so a lot of principals are trying to work.
Listen, maximize the amount of time we have, right? How to become more efficient.
I'm sure Lewis is also on
And I
top of
don't
that.
know if any of you are fans of 60 Minutes. Did anyone watch 60 Minutes last night?
Not until last night.
So 60 Minutes last night had something very much aligned with AI, but not AI in general, it was AI in education. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, I encourage you to watch it, because the things that are going to become accessible to us as a system are really impressive, and they can help support kids over time. Do I think it's the end all be all? Absolutely not. I think that adults in the room and being able to connect with kids is the most important thing. But there are ways that you can make things more efficient. And watch the 60 Minutes and you'll see what it is that I'm talking about, because there are folks that are working nonstop to try to make the classroom experience that much more effective for our kids. So something that we'll explore more over the course of time, I would imagine. No matter which way we turn it, it's here.
Yeah.
The technology is here. It's advancing in ways and at speeds that I don't think any of us probably would have anticipated. Although if you look over the course of time and through history, it's just what happens. New technologies creep up, and all of a sudden they're what they are. VHS tapes. When was the last time anyone used a VHS tape?
Yeah.
Or an 8-track tape? Those things at the time were the technology, right? And now we're in a space where you can have something that's a recording, and it turns it into a transcript. It turns it into next steps. It changes just the way that we do things. And hopefully we learn how to use it in a real productive way. So that's a really great point. Was there anything else that you want there, Ron?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. So I know that Monique was unable to join us from DC 37. I think we got to every. Any new business that anyone has? So there's just one thing that I want to throw out there to everyone, because I do want to get this organized, but if you have any ideas, I would love to hear it. As a district, we started conversations with Common Point Queens to host a wellness type of day, where they would give us access to their field right across, adjacent to 169 in Bell Academy. This is something that the U of T worked with Common Point earlier on in the year to do their own social emotional wellness day with Mind Up. They were able to get Goldie Hawn to join. I don't know that we'll be as fortunate to have Goldie Hawn join, but because of that event, it spurred me on to connect with Common Point about connecting with District 25, because we have Mind Up across every school in the district, that we wanted to host something like that. So more news to follow. We do want to organize it. We connected with CEC about this, as well as potentially organizing some ideas around how to make it a really productive day. It would include things that are from physical wellness to mental wellness. Really promoted that social emotional learning support. I did touch base with both principals who were right across the street to even maybe open up their school to do other types of events and activities for our kids. Really to just promote that space of staying connected, because it's very easy to, even as adults, let alone kids, to lose sight of the importance of being the importance of that mental space and how we take care of ourselves.
Just
So that's something
piggybacking-
that's on the horizon.
Just piggybacking on that, one of our new council members, I was talking to Dr. Mike, she actually is a mental health professional. So we're gonna see how we can utilize her to help out with this event as well.
So more to follow, it's just kind of throwing it out there in the atmosphere. I feel like when you throw it out in the atmosphere, things tend to get done and happen. So I'm throwing it out there so that we can begin planning and organizing around it. So, other than that, do we have a motion to, we have consensus to close the meeting? Yes, consensus has been reached.
Okay.
Guys, I hope everyone has an amazing, amazing holiday season. Please enjoy, rest up, and enjoy your families. And I thank you for all that you do on behalf of District 25. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Enjoy
Dr.
the day.
Yeah.